Hello buddy, welcome back. I'm the Strategy Professor, and today we're going to be talking about the 7.9 patch notes. So if you want to follow along, you can look into the description. You can find the Google Doc as well as timestamps to various aspects of the video. So if you don't have time to watch the whole thing, you can always skip around and find your favorite parts. I'm going to do something a little bit different for this patch notes than I have in the past. I'm actually going to break it up into at least 2 different components and maybe 3, so it'll be 2 or 3 different videos. So this one's strictly going to be talking about the patch notes themselves. I'm going to be assessing, what I think about these different changes. And then there's going to be a separate tier list video where I go into all the tiers, have all the new itemization, optimizations for everything, and just go through basically all of the support champions in great detail. I'm going to also try to do like a smaller video for like a top 10 for each of the other roles as well. And then I'm also going to do an overall meta-analysis video and what I think is going to happen based on these tier lists and based on the different things that have happened in the patch notes. So the order in which I'm going to release those is the patch notes first, and then I'm probably going to do the tier list or the meta-analysis. Those will come out around the same time, and then I'm going to do the top 10 tier list for the other ones, probably like maybe 1 per day. I'm super busy right now. It's a very busy time of the semester. I actually do teach university classes, and they have just turned in their final projects. So I'm going to be really busy, grading that, and I have a lot of coaching sessions for League, and I have, just other commissioned champion guides, other guides. So there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out on the channel over the next couple of days. So just stay tuned. More and more content's going to keep coming out. Okay, but let's go ahead and get into it here. All right, so first let's start with the reworks champion. So Maoki, I believe, is probably going to be on the weak side. So here we go. I've got all these tabs open just for quick reference. How I do the videos, if this is the first tier list that you've seen, is I go through, I look in depth at the stats, and I talk about everything that's changed and just where I think the champion's going to fit in whenever they make these changes in patch notes, especially ones that are this large. So his passive and his Q are functionally the same. I think they're slightly different in terms of the mechanics. Like you get, whenever they hit you with an ability, or whenever you cast an ability, you get 4 seconds. Now, it used to be, I believe, on 6 or 7 spell casts, then you got to hit and gain back some health and do a little bit extra damage. But now it's only if they target you and only if you cast. So if they're not focusing you, if they're hitting other people, then you're not going to proc it nearly as often. So that's kind of the big takeaway here. And that because before, if you're in a team fight with 10 people just constantly casting stuff, basically every auto attack would pretty much heal you for a massive amount. So the healing is going to go down quite a lot. Although if you are on the front line, they probably will be hitting you quite a bit with abilities, but probably not as much. So I think if anything, this is a bit of a nerf to his passive. His Bramble Smash is very similar. It's still a pretty cheap spell, not as cheap as it once was. Still pretty cheap. I think they may have given it a bit more range. I'm not sure. But it's functionally the same. It's a very small delay. He knocks a little shockwave, knocks people like up, slowing them down for 0.25 seconds, which is virtually nothing. It can knock them out of channels, and that little knock up does trigger things like Yasuo. Oops, not that. It does trigger Yasuo for Yasuo to ultimate. So it does have some interactions that are cool, but it's just a small little thing he can cast on a 6-second cooldown. You can't really, you can kind of spam it, but not really. It does okay damage. So, I mean, it's basically the same as it was before. Twisted Advance is a little bit different. Now, the thing to note about Twisted Advance, they changed this a long time ago. This is kind of your engage ability, but it's only got 525 range. And it's on a pretty long cooldown. So, this has become more of like a peeling ability rather than an engage ability. It used to be like 700 or 800 range back in the day. But the root duration is pretty minor. It scales it's very minor scaling, and it no longer does percentage-based damage. This is the big deal, is his Twisted Advance used to be pretty good tank on tank because it would do percentage-based damage. And so because, this is what you would level first, because this was your wave clear, it did pretty good damage, it was cheap, spammable, and then this would be what you would level second. And that would be pretty good on Maoki, because you would get like a pretty decent root duration. I'm pretty sure it used to be more than this, and it used to do percentage-based damage, so it was pretty good for dueling tanks. But now you can't really level this up second. I mean, you can, but you're going to lose a lot of damage because it's just a very anemic stun now. Like, it's a small gap closer that, or not even a stun, it's a root. A small gap closer that roots for very minimal damage. So It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad now. So that definitely got gutted. Now, what they did was they moved the percentage damage over the E. So before, your E was just kind of a 1-point wonder. Like early on, it could do some decent damage. It's okay wave clear. You could use it to scout and see if people were coming to gank you. So it was a nice little 1-point cheap ability that you could use. So it was great. You would just level this and then level your W and then 1 point in this, and that was fine for most of the game. But now they've made this an integral part of his kit. So says for 30 seconds. It chases and explodes just like it used to. It slows them down for a little bit. But now it does percentage of the target's maximum health. So now it does, you know, up to 8% of their health. So this is kind of a tank breaking ability on a really long cooldown, though. So this is a longer cooldown than this would have been at level 5. And its base damage is about the same as this base damage is. Now, here's the thing, the new thing they added. It does get a bonus if it goes into brush. So you get double damage. So your total is 290 damage. And the duration is longer, as it says there. So it can last up to 70 seconds. So you get 290 damage and 16% of their maximum health. So that's actually really good. So now, I don't know, maybe maybe they're trying to position him to be in the jungle. Because this could be, like, okay in the jungle. Like, a good use for this would be if you stack up, like, 3 of these things in a bush when someone's about to go get their red or something, and then all 3 of these come in. You know, it's like 900 damage or something crazy, plus 48% of their max damage, max health damage. So that's pretty insane. I mean, so at that point, it's kind of becoming like a AP Shaco box type of thing, where you just would go up and seed up their jungle and just, like, wait in a bush and kill them when they come in. So, I mean, maybe as a jungler, like an early sort of sneaky jungler, that could be quite strong. I mean, even at level 1, like when you had this just at level 1, that'd be 270 damage plus 36% of their max health. So, yeah, that's pretty dang good. I mean, this could have some shenanigan possibilities with Ivern. Like, in a team fight, if Ivern drops a brush and then you just... Well, you can't stack saplings then, but you would at least get the bonus. Like, if Ivern throws a brush in the middle of them and you throw this in there, you know, it's still going to do 290 damage to everybody if you max this out, plus 16% of their max health. So, you know, there are definitely some shenanigan possibilities. So, if we do see him, if he makes an impact, I think it'll be as a jungler, and I think it'll be as an invade, kind of sneak up on him and get him with this. I don't know if that's going to be super viable at top level play, but in silver and bronze, I mean, this could be a real terror. Probably even through gold. I don't know. Anytime when they're not warding their jungler and you can get in there and get these things on them. Now, this could be great for baiting Baron too, if people don't watch out for this. So you just have, you know, if we pull up a league map here, and someone has talked like Rift Kit, or there's some other like map software. I didn't look that up today. You know, I'll look it up another time. I don't really need to interact with the map that much. I just need to point out a couple of things. So, you know, if people are trying to run up to Baron or something, and you just sit in this bush with like 3 saplings to go check Baron and just kill him, like, I think that could be good in theory. So it's cute. It's some cute changes, but we'll see. As far as top lane pressure, I don't think so. I mean, maybe if you can get him to walk into that bush. I mean, I guess you can have it sit there for a long time, and then if they want to fight you, you can just keep poking your head in and out of the bush. So we'll see. It's interesting. It's interesting. So I think you would probably still max Bramble Smash and then Sapling Toss. Although if you're jungling with him, maybe you do just max Sapling Toss and then just kite things into bushes. I don't know. I think it's probably you max this first and this second and then this last, but we'll see. Then you've got his ultimate. So it's a pretty big radius. I saw it in a video, but I haven't actually played with or against it yet. So it can root people for a long time if it travels a big distance. I mean, it's going to be over 1 second most likely. At 750 range, yeah, it gets to 1 second. So that's still pretty good. So my sense is that it'll be very easy to dodge most of the time. But if you're in a tight area, like if you're in the jungle or if you're around Baron Pit or Dragon Pit or something like that, then this could be very, very strong, especially if it's combined with other crowd control effects. So, once again, if he's in the jungle and he catches people out in a team fight with this, could potentially be good. I mean, if you hit them at 2,000 range, which is really far, this is like a Nami wave that has a wider radius, I think. And I think it moves slower than a Nami wave. I'm not sure. But think of it kind of like that. Like a really slow motion Nami wave that's wider. But anyways, and 5 thorny brambles. Okay, and each thorny bramble can only hit one person. So if the enemies are stacked up and one of those thorns hits the first person, it will not hit the people behind. So that's different from Nami's wave. So they can potentially like body block some of these thorns from other people's. That's another counterplay opportunity. So overall, he's interesting, but I think it's just not enough. Like I said, if he does get used, it'll be because of like sneaky like seeds stacking in the jungle potentially. Like those kind of like Shaco-esque type of shenanigans. So we'll see. But I think overall he's going to be pretty weak. I think that they're going to just be more consistent, stronger, both top laners and junglers. Although, like I said, he does have that niche potential if you want to be sneaky with him. I think that's how he could probably best be used. So because he lost his last passive, that's a lot of his team fighting. A lot of his team fighting damage mitigation, because it used to mitigate 20% of the damage, both on him and everyone around him. So that's what made him a great sort of tank team fighter. And now he doesn't have that. He can't really use that as an engage. His R, I mean, it's like a follow-up. But it's okay. We'll see. But I think he's on the weak side. Okay, Sejuani. I think Sejuani has a little bit more potential to be useful, although I still am a little skeptical. Now let's scroll to Sejuani here. And we'll just go ahead and pull up her main. It's just easier to look at this because you can just see all the numbers right here instead of having to read the patch notes. Because these are all updated as of today. On League Wiki, if you've never used the site, you should definitely use it. It's a wonderful website to get statistics about different, or not like how they perform in game, but just their overall like abilities and damage and stuff like that. Okay, so she basically gets, it's kind of like a Malzahar passive. She's immune to slows, and she gets a lot of armor and magic resist. Now, this lasts for a decent chunk of time. Once she gets to level 14, she gets to keep her, like, super status for 3 seconds after she breaks it. So it's a little bit different. But it is interesting. And if you stun anybody, you deal a lot of their max health as bonus damage. So that's pretty good. So keep that in mind. So it's a decent passive. It's a decent passive. It just lets you engage without getting really stopped or slowed unless they have a stun or something like that. And it lets, you know, it kind of protects you for at least 1 second whenever you go in, so they don't instantly blow you up. Okay, so this is her standard, what she used to have. You dash forward. It's still very low range for engage. 650 is pretty low. And it has pretty high mana cost. And has pretty high cooldowns. So that's kind of the old story with Sejuani, is high mana cost, relatively low damage, high cooldowns, and that's just why she hasn't been relevant in the jungle for years. So she still has that problem here. You only get to knock up one enemy, so you can't go through and knock them all up. If you could go through and knock up multiple enemies with that, even if it was just for half a second, that'd be really strong. You can only hit one enemy with it, so that's not great. And the damage is really low. Okay, so that's kind of, you know, that's still kind of an iffy ability. It's okay. You can go over walls and stuff with this. That's good. So this, I don't know. Like, this is difficult to say. If you hit them with both things, now it is physical damage, so it does not scale with AP. She has virtually no AP scaling. I mean, her ult has some nice scaling, but this is weird. Like, okay, so this says physical damage. So she hits all enemies and monsters, knocking them back. It doesn't say how far back. I would have to visually see this probably, and I haven't really watched a lot of the new champion spotlight videos or whatever. I just haven't had time. It feels clunky though, so it's got a 0.25 second delay, and then this has a 0.75 delay. If you hit them with both, it's pretty good. You know, it's 6% of their max health. And she can move around while she's swinging. So this is one of those things, briefly slow. Like, it doesn't say how much the slow is, and it doesn't say how far the knockback is, or how long, like, the knockback stun is. So this could be good. It's difficult to say. This has a lower cooldown, which is good. It's spammable, has, you know, 60-second cooldown. So I think this would be what you would max first. Now, Permafrost, whenever you hit people with your Wrath and your basic attacks. Now, is this... I don't know if this resets her auto. I don't guess it does. Whenever you hit with basic attacks and this, and they get frost. Whenever you get 4 stacks of frost, you can permafrost somebody. So it deals magic damage and stuns them for a pretty good little duration, up to 2 seconds. On a 1.5 second cooldown. Now they can't be stunned again for another 8 seconds, based on level. So you can only do this once. You can't just stun lock people, which is probably a good thing. But it is only one champion. Freezes an enemy champion dealing magic damage. So you don't freeze everybody with permafrost. You have to individually click each person, and it's 1.5 seconds. So that's pretty good. I think you would probably max this first, and then this second. It's possible you might max this first, but I think it's this because this will be your jungle clear. Just 1 point in this. Yeah, max this second. This is kind of your stun, your CC. This does reset your auto attack timer. So you can attack when there's, and then if you stun them with this, then you attack again. You get another attack in there. It's pretty good. And then finally, Glacial Prison. So this is the main thing that I think has changed a lot. And this is where stuff could get pretty crazy. So she throws True Ice Bola in a line, dealing magic damage and stunning for 1 second. The first enemy champion it collides with. So it's just 1 second. Now it can stun for up to 2 seconds if you throw it far enough. And whenever it hits, let me see, collision, it creates an ice storm for 2 seconds. So if you hit a max range, you're going to stun them for 2, and then they're going to get hit with the full ice storm channel after 2. At the end of the duration, it slows them by 80%. And does just a crazy amount of magic damage. Well, a pretty crazy amount. So the base hit is, you know, the max is 225, 350 with a 120% AP ratio. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Like, I think if you hit somebody with this and you stun them for a second or two, you should be able to go up and attack them a couple more times. You know, charge forward, attack, Winter's Wrath them, attack again, and then permafrost them. So when you hit somebody, you're really probably going to stun them for 3 seconds. A lot of the time, if this gets maxed out in the mid-game. So that could be really good. And once again, if you have a bunch of people in that storm, then they're not going to be able to get out. You know, if you have an Amumu or a Kennen or even like a Maoki or something that can hold them in place maybe. Like, that could be good. I think a lot of champions are going to just walk out of this or dash out of this. So it does require some prep. And that's why I have her as just kind of like, okay. Is because, like, it's good, but, like, her E requires prep. You have to hit them a few times with it. Her W can be good, but you have to, it's got a delay on different things. It seems like the targeting could be kind of wonky with that. And then her R can be good if you hit them, but if you miss them, you know, it puts that storm up, but they can dash out of it. So it's okay. If you're against very immobile things that can't really get away from this stuff, then she could be really good. But at the same time, you know, in a world where a lot of people are picking Lucian, Ezreal, Caitlyn, stuff like that, it could be a little more challenging. Hi, Sadie.
Oh, I'm gonna take a nap.
Okay.
So let me sleep past like 8:15.
Alright, I'll wake you up at midnight.
No.
What's the cat doing?
He's coming.
Alright. Hi. Anyway, so she's okay. She's okay. I think there'll be better junglers, but you know, she could be really good as far as like just get in there and cause a ton of crowd control. I mean, she might be like, she's okay to good. I don't think she's overpowered, but I think that she could be good. All right, so it's, I'll say okay to good, depending on like the team composition. All right. And then finally we have Zach. Zach is okay. He's the one that, oops, did I just, damn, I think I just exited out of the patch notes. Okay, let's go back in. Everyone's going to be hyping up Sejuani. I mean, we'll see. I haven't played against her. She could be better than I think. I mean, she's the best of the three that got reworked, I think. But I feel like she's still going to have problems because she requires a lot of setup. At higher elos, at least. But we'll see. Okay, so Zach. Alright, so Sejuani, we can get her out of here. Maoki, we can get out. So we can close a couple of these tabs here. I think I changed out of Zach, but we can get to Zach here. There we go. So he's still, his passive is still the same. Cell Division. Unstable Matter is still the same. It still does 4%, or it costs 4%, does decent percentage-based damage. His Stretching Strike has changed, so it still does pretty anemic damage, has a long cooldown, it has pretty good range. But then, if you hit somebody with it, then your next auto attack gains 100 range. And if you hit a different person, then he like grabs them and slings them both together. It applies a slow. It applies like a very minor stun type of mechanic. Initial magic damage around. Okay, so I mean this could be good because you can do double damage if you hit 2 people with it. So you know if you start maxing this out, you could do up to 260 with a 0.6. The second person would also take the 130. So, in a large team fight, if you're just consistently hitting Q and then auto-attacking other people and just slinging people together, that could be decent. It could be decent. It's hard to tell, but it's definitely, you know, not going to be good in, like, small-scale skirmishes and much better in team fights, I think. But we'll see. Okay. Slingshot is similar to how it was, but now it's only 0.5 second knockup, which is important. It used to be a 1 second knockup. So it's still going to be tough to aim. A lot of people are still going to have a lot of counterplay to it. It can be really powerful if it hits. It does pretty decent damage. Okay ratio. And the Let's Bounce is the thing that's really different here. So instead of just bouncing around, he flattens himself out on the ground. I'm sure most people probably seen the video. And then after a short delay, then he can jump back towards his allies and pull the 80 carry, for example, back into your team. So that could potentially be pretty good. It's on a low cooldown, but it's not an automatic hit. So if it was a 1 second knock up and then you immediately Let's Bounce, then if you hit somebody, then it would be virtually guaranteed that you could pull them back into your team if you timed it right. But now they're going to have that extra half a second to either dash out of it or flash out of it or something. So it does pretty good magic damage. It knocks people back if you cancel it early. So it's okay. I think it's gimmicky. Like, it's cute. It'll probably be good at lower elos, but I think at higher elos it's just not going to be as good. Like, the thing about Let's Bounce is it was so disruptive. Like, immediately you hit him with the E and you just immediately Let's Bounce. It just could knock everybody around and just do a ton of damage. But now it's kind of this gimmicky, you can pull the 80 carry back, because that's really the only person you're going to want to pull. It's like the 80 carry or maybe the support or something. You know, you obviously don't want to pull a tank back into your team. And they're probably just going to be too mobile for this. But we'll see. He's okay. He's okay. Nothing much has really changed about him, I don't think, except for he has a little bit more crowd control in team fights, and his R is a lot, well, in terms of his Q, and his R is a lot less reliable. So, you know, I think he'll still be like a B or a C list jungler. He's all right, but I think there will be better choices out there. So overall, I think Sejuani is the winner of the three, but I still think that, you know, other more prominent junglers will still be strong. You know, you've got your Elise, Lee Sin, early game pressure junglers. Ivern will still be the best overall, especially with some of the other changes we'll talk about here in a minute. Graves is still really good. Master Yi is still really overpowered in solo queue, most elos. He'll be even better this patch because of Guardian Angel changes, which we'll talk about here in a second. So I just think there's a ton of other champions that will be better than any of these three. But if one of them does see a lot of play, it'll probably be Sejuani. Okay, let's talk about the items. How are we looking on time? We're doing okay. I need to pick it up a little bit. I would like for this to be probably about an hour long or so. But let's keep rolling here. Okay, so Adaptive Helm. We'll go back into the notes here. Okay, so Adaptive Helm is okay. It's kind of a hoser for very specific champions, and they name those champions right here, like Ryze and Cassiopeia. So it is going to be an answer for tanks to those champions, but I don't think it really needed this. You know, I think that Spirit Visage was already really good against tanks and just having flat HP and regeneration in general. But this is going to hurt Rise and Cassiopeia. But I think it's going to be a pretty rare pick because there are so many other good options right now for a lot of tanks like Gargoyle Stoneplate and the new GA, if it's an AD tank type of champion, that I doubt this is going to get picked up. I think Spirit Visage is still going to be the go-to health magic resist item. But, I mean, this could still see some play in some circumstances. So, I mean, it'll hose Rise, Cassiopeia, Rumble. You know, I think it'll be good against some champions. So we'll see. I mean, it's really, really good in some circumstances, but it's really probably not going to be seen a lot of the time. Okay, now this item, on the other hand, Gargoyle Stoneplate, this is a meta-defining item. So some of the YouTube Illuminati have already started talking about this item, but this is a huge, huge deal. This is overpower, like with a capital O. And I was very skeptical. I said in my 7.8 video when I saw, or maybe 7.7 when they previewed this item on the PvE, I was like, there's no way they're releasing it like this. Well, they did. And this thing is absolutely absurd. Look at this. Alright, it just the resistances. So just the flat armor and magic resist is worth 1520 right off the bat. The heal for 40 is worth on a 2000 HP target. It's not, we're not even talking like a super tank here. We're just talking like just kind of your average, you know, average champion in the mid game. 2000 HP. That heal for 40% is going to be 2128 gold worth of HP. So that's 3648. Unless I'm reading this wrong. Now, I haven't seen this in action yet. But from what I understand, you keep this health. So you don't lose the health again after 4 seconds. From what I understand, you keep the health. Now, maybe if it goes over your maximum health, I could see why. Okay, so if it goes over the maximum health, you're going to drop down to your maximum health. So in other words, you can't just get this item and then just use it immediately and get 40% maximum health and then use it again, you know, in another minute and a half, get another 40% and just keep stacking it like that. So to avoid that kind of abuse, I imagine that after those 4 seconds, if you're over your maximum health, then you're going to come down back to your maximum health. Kind of like a Lulu ultimate is what I imagine it to be. But nevertheless, don't mistake it. It is a heal. Like, it is a heal that bypasses Ignite. It bypasses Executioner's Calling. It bypasses Morellonomicon because it's not a heal. It's an infusion of health, just like Lulu. So that means that no one's stopping you from getting this health. As long as you press it in time before you die. So you get 40% of your max health. That's just like having 800 health if you have 2000 HP. So you go down 800 health, boom, you pop this, got your 800 health back. So for my calculations, it's effectively you have 40% more health. Now, if that's not even including, so even if there aren't 3 people around, it's still 145% efficient. I mean, if we look at, not sure if I had any more, but let's just look at like a quintessential tank item here. Let's look at like Sunfire Cape. So if you look at the cost efficiency of Sunfire Cape, it's only 80% efficient. So that's not including the passive, and the passive is really good. But like most tank items, or let's say we look at Deadman's Plate here. This is only 80% efficient. In terms of its raw stats, so it's passives. So here's the thing. Most items are only going to be, you know, or let's look at Randuin's. Most items are only going to be, tank items are spec'd to be around 80% efficiency. 73% efficient without its passive. So most items are balanced around being 80%, and then you get a passive that's good on top of that. No, that's not the case with this. Like, yeah, okay, you can count that as its passive. That's not its real passive. This is like baseline, just you're fighting one-on-one. Like the way the item is not intended to be used, it's going to be 145% efficient, which is insane. I mean, that's over 50% more efficient than most other items. That's just in one-on-one, which is where this item is supposed to be bad. You're not supposed to use it one-on-one. But even in one-on-one, Like, one-on-one combat, top lane, it's still 145% efficient. Now, it gets bonkers if there's 3 people near. It turns into an 8360 gold item. That's 334% efficient. Absolutely out of control. Like, insane. Like, why is it this powerful? You go to 80 armor, 80 magic resist, and you get 100% of your health. Now, yeah, some of that's going to fade away, right? So you're not going to get a full efficiency out of that because you're never going to be at 0% health when you use this. But still, like, you get like 100% health. I mean, you might get at 100% efficiency. Just imagine if someone's trying to kill you and you have this stone plate on and you go down to 10% health, you know, and you're going to get that 100% heal for another 4 seconds. They're going to do another 10% of your health and damage, most likely. So then that would effectively be 100% efficiency because it's going to drop you below your maximum health before the 4 seconds wears off. So, just absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So just imagine this on something like a Yi, Master Yi, or a Fiora. Like, it does reduce your damage when you use your passive, so that is a thing. But you have excess power to spare. I mean, that, like, get this item. Like, on anyone who wants to be tanky, get it. And even on champions that don't want to be tanky. I mean, or they're just, like, damage but sort of get tanky items, like Master Yi, Fiora, or whatever. Just get this item. It's good. And Soraka, holy crap, Soraka. Like what's one of Soraka's biggest problems? She can get picked off, and she's very vulnerable in fights because she has to use her health to heal. Well, guess what? If she has 80-80 on her magic resistant armor, and she can just full heal herself with the touch of a button, like, that's crazy. Like, I cannot express to you how ridiculous this item is. This is the meta-defining item. This will determine which champions are balanced and which champions are overpowered and which champions are weak, is this item. This item and GA, which we'll talk about here in a second, are going to be the 2 biggest meta-defining items. And, you know, I'm going to talk about this more in my meta-analysis video after I, you know, think it over and think about it on different champions. But right now, I can tell you, we don't need that update. Let's see. Let's just see, like, I can just look at the roster really quick, and I can tell you who's going to be overpowered. Like, Olaf. I'll give you a little preview of the meta-analysis. I haven't, like I said, I haven't done a super in-depth. First of all, Soraka. Super overpowered with her. Anyone that wants a lot of health, it's going to be very good on them because it scales with health. Not only does it give you resistances, which is very good with health anyways, I talk about that in my itemization video, but it also, the more health you have, the more you're going to get off this bonus. So if you have 4,000 health, you're gaining 4,000, versus if you only have 2,000 health, you're only gaining 2,000. So, and remember, this efficiency is based off of a 2,000 HP number. Like, if you have 4,000 HP, then it becomes, like, obscenely efficient. Even more so. So, you know, you're going to be pushing over 10,000 gold on an item like that. So the health stackers are going to love this. So I think Olaf immediately comes to mind as being powerful on this. You know, any kind of damage dealer that might get some, that could get some HP items, like a Titanic Hydra or something like that, could be good. I think Master Yi, it'd be really good on him, just because he has so much damage, and on hit anyways, he doesn't care. You just need some tank items. So I think if you go, you could even go GA Gargoyle Plate or something on him. And, you know, and then just all damage items, you crush people. Yeah, I think Olaf, it could be really good on. Maybe someone like Camille. Gragas. Like, there's a lot. And Soraka is the biggest one. Soraka is absolutely the biggest one. Soraka is going to be really, really overpowered this patch. You need to play her every game she's banned or unbanned. I'm calling it right now. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but there are a lot of really ridiculous things going on with Soraka on this patch. Okay, so anyways, get this item. At least consider it. I'll talk about it more in my meta-analysis, like I said, and in my tier list videos. But for right now, just trust me. If you're not sure, like, maybe this item, just get it. Just get this item on anyone who's, like, tanky at all. Or, you know, even, like, dreams of having a tank item. Just get this item. Okay, Sunfire Cape, Cinderhulk, they're a little bit stronger. I don't think Like, their durability is fine. Now, the big thing that's difficult for me to assess here is this could be very meta-defining as well, because it deals 200% to monsters. This is going to give people, like, the old Cinderhulk junglers, you know, like Hecarim, Amumu, Gragas. It's going to give them a lot more damage in the jungle. So it's going to give them a much faster clear speed, and that's on Cinderhulk in addition to Sunfire Cape. So it's going to push waves faster, and it's going to help the junglers clear faster. So this is the type of thing that could redefine the jungle, you know, away from the warrior junglers towards the Cinderhulk junglers again. Especially with Gargoyle Plate, which I just mentioned. So if you have a Gragas that runs like Cinderhulk Gargoyle or something like that, I mean, that could be like the best jungler of this patch. We'll see. You know, I'll have to do the numbers and think about the meta, like I said. But that could be a scenario where Gragas could just take over the jungle because he has a lot of great CC, really good scaling, good damage. Gargoyle Plate plus Cinderhulk could just be put him over the top. So I think Amumu's still going to have a lot of problems. But champions like Gragas, champions like Hecarim, Nunu, Olaf, maybe not Nunu as much, maybe Nunu. Olaf, another Cinderhulk jungler. These guys are going to be really good, I think, on this patch. Maybe Jarvan. I don't know. The biggest ones that come to my mind right now are probably Gragas and Olaf. Sejuani usually wants the on-hit stuff. Those are the two biggest ones I can give you right now, but I'll give you some more in my meta-analysis later. Maybe Udyr, although I think he wants the on-hit also. But yeah, this could be really big news for them. I don't know. I'll have to run the numbers and think about it a little bit more. But that's really good news for Cinderhulk junglers. Spirit Visage, slightly weaker. Now, it's important to note also, just as a final note for these, this is gold neutral, okay? So this is the same amount. If you're losing 75 gold and you're gaining 10 armor, that's the same amount, so, or 75 HP. So 75 HP, it's worth 2.66 gold each, 199, and then armor's worth 20 gold each, so 10 armor. It's the same thing. So this is revenue neutral here, if you want to think of it in those terms, right? So that's fine. That's the same thing. It just slants you a little bit more towards armor and a little bit less towards max health, which is good for the jungle as well, because armor is a good thing when things are hitting you always. Now, this is not going to be as good against players, right? So it does less damage to players, but, you know, it does a lot, 4 times the damage to monsters. So that's the deal. You know, Gragas doesn't need this to do a lot of damage to players. Olaf doesn't need this to do a lot of damage to players. That's not why they get it. They get it to help them with their clear and because they like the stats, the armor and the health. So the fact that it does some damage to players in a team fight is cool, but that's not the main reason. And this might help some top laners too with Sunfire Cape, you know, that need faster push, like maybe a Nautilus. Nautilus already has good push. I don't know. I'll have to think about it, like I said in the meta video, but Gragas, Olaf, those jump out to me right away with this Cinderhulk item. And it'll probably still be pretty good in top lane also. We'll see. It might give some champions that don't have a lot of push a ton of push, and that could throw off the balance quite a bit. There's a lot of really balance, like major balance shakeup type of stuff potentially going on in this patch. There's so many variables, it's very, very difficult to predict. So it's going to take me a while to sit down and really research and think about that meta-analysis video. This is one of the biggest patches in terms of like potential shakeups I think I've ever seen. Because it can go in so many different directions. Like, tanks, obviously, there's a way that it's going, but, like, which kinds of tanks? And you could even get some of these items on, like, bruiser type of champions. You know, like, your Renekton, your Fiora, your Master Yi typically builds bruiser type of stuff, and that could influence it. And those are all good against tanks. So, like, Camille, Fiora, and Yi are very good against tanks. So it might seem like a tank meta, but if those champions can use these items even better, and they're good against tanks, then it might be a bruiser meta rather than a tank meta. So, you know, it's going to take some calculations and some thinking for me to figure that out. More so than I wanted to do for this video. I already spent like 2 hours researching and writing about just the patch notes. Okay, so Spirit Visage, pretty good. A little bit more healing. This is not revenue neutral. You're actually losing some gold on this one. Because you're only gaining 5 magic resist, which is worth 90. So you're losing about 100 gold. Because magic resist is worth 18 gold apiece, times 5, it's 90. So you're losing about 100 gold in gold efficiency, but you are gaining 5% healing, which is difficult to calculate. It depends on the champion. So it's okay. It's just, they don't want this to be the default on everybody anymore. But for champions, obviously, like Mundo or other people, Renekton, other people that have nice regeneration type of effects, this will still be the go-to. Although you might switch over, you might go Adaptive Helm on champions that... let me look at Adaptive Helm again real quick here. What does that have? 55, okay. 300, so less health, less magic resist than Spirit Visage. You have health regen, whatever. You get some CDR. That's okay on some champions. You get this. I think most people still go Spirit Visage, but there might be some corner cases where you get Adaptive Helm. I don't know. I still think it'll be Spirit Visage. Or Banshee's Veil for AP users. We'll talk about that in a second. But alright, Deadman's. Same thing. This is revenue neutral. I don't use this item a lot. I'm not sure exactly what the difference is here. This could be a big deal. That sounds good. I don't know. This sounds good. Unnoticed damage. Let's see. Close the gap. Also bring a lot of unnoticed damage. Okay, so this sounds like a nerf. I don't know. I mean, this is okay. I think that if people get this right now, they will probably switch over and get Sunfire instead, like your Irelias and things like that that might get the Deadmans or maybe even Darius. We'll see. Okay, Randuin's. I don't know about this change. Like, I think it's bad. Let me keep up on my notes here. I think it's bad. So it's 2,900, but you're losing 150 health, which is a lot. I mean, 150 times... So you're losing about 400 gold worth of health in exchange for an extra 10% critical strike reduction, which is relevant. I mean, you know, if someone crits you for 2,000... Well, you're losing 150 health. I think they'd have to crit you for 1,500. Yeah, so if they crit you for 1,500, then it's worth the health right there. So, and obviously you're going to be taking a lot more crits over the course of a fight. So having the max health, like, this could be a good niche item. So if their AD carry gets fed and they're building crit, you know, if it's Infinity Edge, Hurricane, Twitch, then you might need to go ahead and get your Randuins. Now, does it still have Cold Steel? This is why I don't like looking at the patch notes themselves, because it doesn't give you the entire item stats. It just tells you what's changed, but it doesn't give you the whole deal. Okay. Okay, it still does have Cold Steel. So it slows attack speed by 15%. 350, 60 armor. Okay, yeah, I'm going to change that to niche, but good. So I think against critical strike champs, you know, if you take that 1,500 crit, it'd be good against like a Caitlyn, because her crit interacts with Headshot or a Draven. They're the champs that get those massive crits. Twitch can also get some pretty big ones. The slow is kind of neutral. I don't know. Like, you get a bigger slow up front, but it doesn't last for as long. So the slow's kind of whatever. That's about the same. It's pretty good, I guess. But the extra 10% damage reduction from crits is actually pretty big. Combined with Cold Steel. Now, one good thing that, like, against Twitch, if Twitch hits everybody and he hits you, like you're the third person that he hits, it slows down the damage on everybody with the Cold Steel. So, I think it's good. I think it's going to be good against crit 80 carries. You know, I had thought that maybe it was kind of garbage, but I think it can be good. If they have one crit, if they have two crits, so if they have something like, I don't know, they're building a Crit Master Yi, and they have like a Twitch that's building crit, then it's definitely good. Or like a Yasuo, it's definitely good. But even if they just have one crit user, I think it'll still be pretty good. It's situational. It's situational, which is nice. It's nice to have options for different situations. So I think Sunfire will probably be the default for a lot of users. But, you know, I could see like a jungler, like a Gragas, who already has Cinderhulk, doesn't want to do Sunfire. Maybe he gets Randuins instead. I could see that. So I think it's good. It's good, but niche. So Fed 80 carry, going crit. You don't have to build it if they're going the Blader and King build, but if they're going crit, looks pretty good. Okay, Warmogs. This is pretty big. This is huge, and this is something that the Illuminati has not really talked about yet, especially on Soraka. So, this is so important, this threshold number here. And I was just doing some math with Soraka a second ago, because that's who I'm going to probably try to play a lot tonight on the stream. This is huge. So, like, one of the deals with Soraka, and I talk with this in my Soraka guide, Warmogs is very good on her, like it was in 7.8. It has been for ages, but the problem is, like, to get to that 3,000 health, it's really weird itemization-wise. Because right now, do I have Soraka pulled? Okay, I've got Soraka up here. Okay, so let's say, so the scenario where I think you might get it is, like, by level 11. Let's say you have your Redemption Ruby Sightstone. Okay, you've completed those 2 items. Now you're in the market for 1 more item. So you're going to start with 1213. And you get plus your Redemption, 300, plus your Ruby Sightstone, 500, and then plus 800 for Warmogs. If you were to complete Warmogs, don't forget Warmogs' health itself counts towards that. If you complete it, then it gives you 2813. All right, now if you do flat health seals, which is what a lot of people will do on her, then, you know, that would take you up to 2885. All right, and then even if you do the Veteran Scars in the Mastery Tree, that would still only get you to 2935 when you need to start building your 3rd item. So typically, you know, you would be around 2800 to 2900 in patch 7.8 if you built Ruby, Redemption, then try to go Warmogs. So you'd fall a little bit short. Like, you would have to run scaling HP runes, which are really bad in lane. Or you would have to buy an excess Ruby Crystal, which you can't really build into anything that good, typically, that you want to do. But now that it's only 2750, you can do that. You might even be able to do that at an earlier level. So if we look at, like, level 9, let's say you finish Redemption, Ruby Sightstone, and then you start going, you still might be able to get it. I don't know. You'd have to be really far ahead to get it by level 9. But plus... Or let's look at this. Let's see if you don't upgrade to... if you don't upgrade to Ruby Sightstone, if you just go normal Sightstone, Redemption, and then try to go Warmogs, let's see if we could get it. I haven't done this permutation yet. Let's see. So by level... Okay, so 12, 13. That'll save you 800 gold early on, which is a huge deal. 13 plus normal Sightstone, I believe, is 150. I don't think we're going to get it. 150 plus 300 for Redemption plus 800, then plus 72 plus 50. Yeah, you're not going to get it. Now, if you do plus additional 50, 26, if you go Eye of the Oasis or something, I think you have to go Ruby. And this is another important breakpoint too. If you want to try to go for this build, you can't go Eye of the Oasis, because Eye of the Oasis is only going to give you 200 health. This item is, I think it's still bad. So you're going to get 200 plus 300 from Redemption plus 800 plus Soraka's base 1213 plus 72 from runes plus up to 50 from Veteran Scars. No, you're still not going to get it. So you have to go Ruby Sightstone if you're going to get it. You can't go Eye of the Oasis. And Eye of the Oasis, we'll talk about that in a second with the new items. It's still garbage. I think you'll upgrade your tier 2 coin, but I think eventually you'll either sell it or go Talisman. So if you want to go for this build with Soraka, then you have to go Redemption, Ruby Sightstone, and then you can get your Warmogs. And that means you're not going to be getting Gargoyle Plate, which I'm not sure if you'd want to go. I think the build is going to be Redemption, Sightstone, and then either Gargoyle Plate or Redemption, Ruby Sightstone plus Warmogs, depending on, you know, whether you want Warmogs or whether you want Gargoyle Plate. Gargoyle Plate's really good in team fights. Warmogs is better for rotations. Because the crazy thing about Warmogs, which I just was talking about a little bit ago, so it's lowered the threshold, so that's good. So now it opens up a build path where you can comfortably get it at level 11 without having to get some weird stuff that's out of your way. So that's good. You get 5% of your max health per second. That is massive, massive, massive. Because you're going to have, you know, as we just talked about, like 2,800 health. So that's 140 health per second. Per second. That you're going to heal off of this. That's not even including all of your plus healing and shielding. That also boosts this up a lot. And that mastery that gives you like the plus 8% like of your own healing and shielding, that boosts this up a lot. So this is going to be like through the roof. You're going to be like max health in 5 seconds or something if you step outside of combat. And you're at like half health. It's absolutely bonkers. And now, it used to be 8 seconds. So you had to wait 8 seconds until you took a hit. Now, it's 6 seconds. Now, keep in mind, this is not hitting other people. This is you getting hit. So you can just hang out in the back with Soraka, heal people, and throw Qs, and if they don't hit you with anything, you're going to be healing the entire time for 6 seconds. Or as long as you haven't been hit for 6 seconds by anybody, you're going to heal it. So, how often is this a scenario, right, where your team wins a team fight, like maybe around here, everybody's like super low and they have 2 people left, right? So they've got 2 people left that can maybe defend Baron. So maybe they've got their, you know, their Zyra support and their Vayne AD carry or something like that. And you have 4 people left, including your jungler, but everybody's really low. And you're just like, well, we could go get Baron, but now we can't because we're all super low. Well, if you're Soraka with Warmogs, you can say, yeah, we can, let's go do it. And you just walk and heal them the entire way for free because you're not going to be like taking any damage off of those heals. You get to heal your entire team to full always with with Warmogs. There's no penalty. It costs almost no mana and you can just heal everybody else up to full. Absolutely insane. So that's where that would come in. So Stone Plate will keep you alive in fights right here. Now you can use the Stone Plate to heal up to full also, and then maybe heal them up over here, but the Warmogs is really going to allow you to just infinite heal on rotation. So you just go get Baron. Or let's say that you just win a fight around Baron. You take the Baron, but everyone's really low, and they're about to spawn in a little bit. Like a couple of people are about to spawn. You can actually go push and maybe make a run at their towers. It's so helpful to be able to... I know it sounds strange, but if you can heal your entire team to full whenever you want without penalty, that's actually a good thing. So I think this item's just going to be obscenely strong. And it's a combo with Gargoyle. So if you get both of these items, then that's when the party starts. Because now, if you activate Gargoyle Plate, first of all, you're going to have like 2,900 health, like we just talked about. Now you can activate Gargoyle Plate for an additional... okay, let's see how hard it would be to kill Soraka with that. Okay, so let's say you have 2,800 health. We'll go on the... Well, let's go 2,900. 2,900 health. You can activate to get 100% more health in a team fight. So you effectively have 5,800 health. We're not even going to include if you step outside of combat and start healing. But let's say you have 58 effective HP after that. You're going to have 80 armor. So that's gonna reduce the damage by, we got 5,800 health. So that's gonna reduce the damage by 45%. That means it's gonna take what, 100 and I think it's gonna take 80% more damage to kill you. 80% more physical damage is what we talked about previously in my itemization video. So it's going to take like 10,000 physical damage times, yeah, there we go. So that's yeah. So it's going to be 5,900 times 1.8. So it's going to take and that's magic resist and armor. So it's going to take a combined magic resistant armor of around 10,500 damage to kill you with those 2 items as Soraka. That's not including your self-healing. That's not including any healing off of Warmogs. That's not including any other resistances that you have. So, you know, if you get something else down the line that gives you even more natural magic resistant armor, that's not including that. That's just these 2 items off of just normal, like, HP that you're going to get while you get to Warmogs. I mean, oh my god. Like, it's going to be so hard to kill her. Like, so I think the build, you know, with Soraka, I think it would be rush Warmogs. Like I said, there's 2 builds. You can either rush Warmogs, like we just talked about, or you can go Gargoyle first and then get your Warmogs later. So you would go Redemption, Sightstone, Gargoyle, Ruby Sightstone, Warmogs. That might be the most standard one, because that Gargoyle is just so strong. And remember, your cooldown, your item cooldown reduction with your Ruby also applies to your Gargoyle, so that'll lower that cooldown by 20% also. So I think Locket's out. That's small time now. I think Locket's out. I think Redemption's still in, because it's just so good, and you need a mana regeneration item. And I still think that Eye of the Watchers is garbage. So, or Eye of the Oasis. Eye of the Watchers it's the best of the 3, but Eye of the Oasis is still garbage. But anyways, I think Warmogs, Soraka, just insane on Soraka. Now, it's going to be good on other champions too, like Mundo, obviously. I think on someone like Olaf, it could be good. Trying to think, maybe Vlad could be good on Vlad, as remember, you have to take damage, so if you just don't take damage for 6 seconds, you start healing up an insane amount. So a ranged champion that could just hang out in the back and not take damage if they wanted to could be good. I don't know. I mean, Mundo and Soraka definitely, and I'm not I think Olaf, maybe Gragas. It's difficult to say. I'll have to think more about the meta-analysis. But Soraka is number 1. Like, number 1 offender on this list. She's going to be so strong. Okay, let's move on. How are we looking on time? This is going to be a long video. This is going to be long. I'm going to try to move on. But there's so many exciting things going on here. Okay, so Banshee's Veil. This is going to be another meta-defining video. Or meta-defining item. So where are we? Where are the patch notes? Here we go. Okay, this is a big deal. This is really, really big deal. I hadn't thought about it. I'm like, okay, whatever. They just switched Abyssal for Banshees. No, it's actually a huge deal. So, it's 70 ability power, 45 magic resist. I think that's what Banshees used to be. You used to have 50 magic resist, and it doesn't say how much ability. It was similar stats. So the stats are similar, and it has CDR. So it's very, very similar to what Abyssal used to be. But it is a cheaper cost. No, it's basically the same cost. Okay, so it's basically like old Abyssal in some ways, right? So it's got the CDR, it's got the ability power. I think this is what Abyssal used to have is 70. It used to have 50 MR. This has 45. So it's very, very similar to what old Abyssal used to be. But the big difference here is you get a spell shield on it, which is going to very heavily favor, like, ranged, like, big range AP champions. So this is going to hurt the melee casters, and it's going to help the ranged casters a lot. Because if you're melee, this is going to get popped a lot by spells. Now, I don't think that area of effect stuff pops this. That's how it works with Malzahar. So like a Morgana can't just walk up and press W on you and put the little pool under you and proc it. Or I don't think a GP ult is going to proc it either. I think it has to be something that specifically targets to hit it. I'm not 100% about that. I know that's how Malzahar's passive works. Let me see. I can just look it up real quick. It probably answers that question on League Wikia, because that site is amazing. Okay. Okay, that's old. That's before the rework. So they don't go by and change everything, but I think that's how that works. I think. Anyways, okay, so here's the big deal about that. You know, if you've never played against Banshee's Veil, and you probably haven't, if you're new to the game, because it hasn't been a super popular item for quite a while. Everyone just get Abyssal and Spirit Visage as their you know, defensive items. But this makes it very hard for engaged champions to engage because of this Banshee's Veil, especially because it's on a 40-second cooldown now. So, that means that this is going to make champions like Syndra, for example, I think is going to be the biggest beneficiary of this. She can pop other Banshee's Veils very easily. She has a very cheap, spammable ability that's very long range. So she can get rid of their Banshee's Veils, but it can be hard to get rid of hers because she's such long range. So this means that things like Blitzcrank Hook, not going to happen if Banshee's Veil is up. This means that Annie's Flash Tibbers, not going to happen with Banshee's Veil is up. Ash Arrow, nope. Like, it shuts down a lot of initiation tools, like at least Flash Cocoon. Nope. It's really, really good for ranged, like high-ranged, high-damage champions that have something spammable in particular that can bust other champions' bubbles. So, you know, Syndra, Ahri, Cassiopeia, all of these are going to be very, very good with this item, particularly Syndra. This is what Syndra needs. Like, she is vulnerable to crowd control, right? So that's one of her only weaknesses, right? That she has pretty good sustained damage, she has awesome burst damage, and but she's just vulnerable. Kind of like with Ahri as well. She's got long range, she can pop things. Cassiopeia is similar. So I think this is going to very heavily slant the meta. This hurts things like Annie. This hurts Echo. We'll go to League of Legends. I'll tell you a couple more major ones that'll hurt. That this will hurt. Once again, I'll cover it all in my meta analysis, but I'll just give you a quick preview here as well. This is probably good for Anivia. Good for Ahri. Bad for Akali. You don't see Akali typically. Good for Azir. Probably bad for Aurelion Sol because he wants to build his charge items. Although it's not really going to matter for Aurelion Sol that much. I think his comments will probably break it. Bad for Fizz. Oh, it's real bad for Fizz. Now he can't fish people at a distance. Whew. That's going to be rough. If they have that Banshee's Veil up. And he doesn't have an easy way to pop it either. He has to get in close. Bad for Cat. She can pop it with her daggers pretty easily, but, you know, as far as hers, they're going to pop hers really easily too. Probably bad for Malzahar. He's kind of a rare pick these days. Orianna, it's good for Orianna. So it'll definitely tear up the meta. Good for Talia. It'll definitely switch it up, and it's going to make those melee type of champions. Kassadin, it's probably bad for, but he's so powerful anyways, I don't think it's going to matter. So yeah, I think Syndra is going to be a lot more powerful. Just some of those other ones that I mentioned that are long range AP champions are going to like it. Okay, Abyssal is very bizarre. So this is meta defining. I'll talk about it more in my meta analysis. This is really going to affect particularly the pro scene most likely a lot. But I think it'll affect solo queue also. I mean, everyone's going to get this. Like, if you're an AP champion middle, you're getting this item. Just about. With few exceptions. Like, maybe the Chargers, you know, like, maybe Anivia, Kassadin, things that build tier and, like, Rod of the Ages and stuff like that. They may not get it, but everyone else is going to get it. It might hurt those champions to get the charging items. I don't know. We'll have to see. But it's definitely, it's a big deal. And this should be your default item. Unless you get a tier or a Rod of the Ages. Okay. Abyssal. This is bizarre. Like, I don't understand what they're trying to do. Because it doesn't have AP on it. But it increases the damage that AP champions do. So it's not going to benefit you, probably. I mean, like, maybe on like a Gragas or something. This could be good. Like, it's not that tanky. It gives you some magic resist. Low health, some magic resist, some, like, regen, which is bizarre. Like, why? You don't... Some regen, some cooldown reduction. And they take extra damage. But it doesn't have ability power on it, so... I don't know. I don't know what they're going for here. I mean, you can put it on tanks, but it doesn't give you... Maybe, like, on a tank that wants magic resist, but somehow doesn't do AP, like... Does it say all abilities? Magic damage, no? So, like, on an AP tank that has, like, absolutely no scaling or ratios, maybe, who just doesn't care about AP, or who really needs, maybe someone who really needs magic resist, and they want to get this instead of Gargoyle or Spirit Visage. It's extremely niche. If this gets used, it's going to be rare. Like, maybe Zach? Zach has pretty good AP ratios, though. Maybe a Mumu? Mumu has good AP ratios. Zach is almost certainly going to want Spirit Visage. I just don't... It's hard for me to imagine many scenarios where... Like, it's going to be too expensive on supports, first of all. Like, it sounds cute, but 2,800 gold... Like, you could be getting Locket, Redemption, Knight's Vow, Gargoyle Plate. Like, all of these things are going to be better than this item is. Probably. I cannot think of a scenario. Like... I don't know. I just don't know where champions would buy this item over either Spirit Visage or Gargoyle Plate. Or Adaptive Helm. There's so many, like, AP or magic resist items out there. I don't get it. Maybe if your team has, like, Rumble top, Cassiopeia middle, and you're Gragas in the jungle, so you have 3 heavy AP users, and you got, like, a Kog'Maw bottom or something, so 4 AP users, basically, and your Gragas or something in the jungle, like, maybe you could use this. I don't know. Very, very rare. If anyone gets this, it'll be very rare, I think. I mean, I could be wrong about that. I don't see it. Guardian Angel. Okay, this is a meta-defining item. Super powerful. Obscenely powerful. I mean, this is going to be the go-to third item on serious 80 carries. Like, you have to get this third item. Because, I mean, look at this. 40 AD plus 30 armor is 2,000 gold worth of stats. Now, if at 50% of a level 11 AD carry. So let's just say, I think I used Draven. So let's just say that you used Draven here. At level 11, he's going to have, what? 1277 health, I think is what I used. So, you know, I said roughly 700 HP. You know, how did I get that number? Level 11. That'd be like 650. Whatever. You can adjust the math if you want. But like on an average champion that's going to get this item, you know, around level 11, you know, it's going to be about 1862 health. It's going to be about 700 HP. I mean, if you change it to, I'll change it to 650. Let's just be consistent here. All right, 650. $17.29. $2,000 plus 17.29 equals 37.29. Oh, that's easy. I don't know why I needed the calculator for that. Look, I'm tired, okay? All right. And you divide that by its cost. Oops. 37.29. Is it? Oh, is it 2,400 or 2,500? 2,400. I've changed that item so many times over the years. 155. Okay, so it's 155% efficient, not including the mana that you get back. That's crazy for an offensive item that's also super defensive, because there's no way you can mess that up. Like, unlike Gargoyle Stoneplate, you don't even have to activate this. It just straight up happens. Now, it does have a longer cooldown than Gargoyle Stoneplate, but still, on an item that gives you that much AD, to have that much defensive prowess as well is insane. Like, you should get this every third item. So, like, every serious AD carry should probably go BF Sword into Zeal, into Hurricane, into Infinity Edge, into GA. Boom. Game's over, probably. So, that's, I mean, that's, like, Twitch, Draven, Caitlyn, you know, all of the serious AD carries should go for those items. And it just crushes burst champions once again. So now Annie, you know, champions like Annie already have a hard time with Banshee's Veil in the mid lane. But But now they're going to have an even harder time because everyone's going to have a GA. Like, every AD carry is going to have GA early. And things like Master Yi, Fiora, all of these champions are going to get GA also. So, Fiora, Yi, Riven, Camille, Kha'Zix, Graves, Rengar, all of these should get GA probably around 3rd item. And it's just going to be really rough for champions that have long cooldowns that just want to blow people up and burst people. So, Annie's one, and there's a couple others. This patch is gonna be all about sustained damage champions that can cut through Gargoyle Plates and GAs that have really persistent damage. So this is gonna be really good for AD carries. I mean, Vayne might seriously come back if Vayne has the benefit of going GA early on and not being penalized, and also a Doran Shield, which we'll talk about here in a second, which is crazy. Then this might be Vayne's patch. We'll see. I mean, Vayne just might come back and be very good here. We'll see. I mean, I still think that Twitch and Draven are definitely up there. Caitlyn, I think, will still be good. Vayne might surpass Caitlyn on this patch. We'll see. I think Caitlyn is still very good. People better freaking figure out that Lucian and Ezreal need to be in the gutter. If this doesn't put them in the gutter, I don't know what will. But anyways, we'll talk about that with AD itemization here in a second. I'm going to try to pick it up and keep moving here. So, Sterrak's Gauge. This is interesting. It's a larger shield and way more HP for bruisers. So, like Renekton and Darius. So, if you have 800 bonus health, so if you have, like, you know, 2 of those items, let's say you have Spirit Visage and Sunfire Cape or something like that. That's going to get you pretty close. You know, it's going to give you 850 bonus health, actually, because each one of those has 425, I believe, now. So that'll get you 800 bonus health. So kind of mid-game, after you get a couple of items, then that's going to give you, what, like a 2,000... If you had 2,000 max health previously, would be the equivalency. So it's a lot worse on squishy champions like AD carries that aren't going to build any sort, or like Graves, just things that aren't going to build any sort of bonus HP. Master Yi, I think Gargoyle Stoneplate's going to replace this on Master Yi, or just Guardian Angel will replace this on Master Yi. But it's okay. I mean, on level 11 Renekton, it's 17 more AD after you proc the shields. That's about, you know, 600 more gold worth of AD. It's okay. I mean, it's niche. It's a buff, sort of, kind of. I don't know. I'll just say neutral. I just think that most people are going to get GA and Gargoyle Plate. Like, I don't think you're going to see this item most of the time on people. Now, this is actually crazy. This Doran Shield. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about this, but I did some math on this. I was like, okay, whatever. This isn't a big deal. Go ahead and pull it up here. I'm like, okay, a couple of stats change. You know, whatever. Not a big deal. It's a big deal. It is a big deal. Where is it? Right here. Doran's Blade. Okay, we'll grab that one. We'll look at that here in a second. What is this? Okay, Deadman. Don't need that. Don't need Renekton anymore. Don't need Sterrak. Nope. Get rid of some of these. We'll use the recurve bow here in a second. Okay, so we'll do Doran's Shield. Okay. So this has been like a joke of an item for years. No one gets this item anymore, but they might start. So what's so crazy about this item now? I think this is one of the most under the radar, like, insane items right now. So if you look at, it has awesome regen. So let's look at what they changed about it. So now, if you get hit, you regain 20 health over 10 seconds after taking damage from an enemy champion. Now, it's important to note that I don't think this stacks. So if you get hit twice, you're not going to gain 40 health over 10 seconds. I believe it's just a passive that just constantly ticks. So that's my assumption. If you do gain the 20 health, and it stacks like that, then it's way, way better than I'm saying it is. And I already think it's really good. Okay, so you get 6 flat health regen, which is good. You get 80 starting health, which is good. The cost is 400 gold, which is relevant. Your basic attacks do 5 on-hit damage. That's only to minions, though. Okay. Only to minions. I forgot the minion part, so... I still don't think it's going to matter, though. I still think it's a great item. So it will help you last hit, but it won't do any extra damage to champions. However, this right here is just so crazy. If you think about what that actually means, that's basically 2 health per second. And that's always going to be going. Like, all you have to do to get this going is just walk up and, like, auto-attack the AD carry and just force them to hit you back if you're an AD carry bot lane. If they hit you with anything, then this is going to be proccing over 10 seconds. So 20 health over 10 seconds. So that's 2 health per second, just basically constantly on. And you're getting 6 health per 5 over time. So how this ends up adding up, you know, over the course of 2 minutes, you're going to get 144 health. Right, so you're getting 2 health per second, and then you're getting 0.4 off of the 6 health per 5. Right? That doesn't seem right. Okay, let me just do the math again here really quick. I don't know. I was slipping up on this math. Okay, so it's going to be 2 per second, so you're getting 10 health regeneration for 10 seconds. What? Grants 10 health regeneration for 10 seconds, regains 20 health over 10 seconds after taking damage from an enemy champion. Okay, so after 2 minutes, that's 120 times 2. Sorry, zone out there. Okay, and then 6 per 5, that's going to be times 6 times 24 plus 144, 384. Is that right? Yeah, okay. I don't know where I was going with all that, but I ended up with the same number. So it's 384 health over the course of 2 minutes. Now if you do 384 health times its value, that's about 21 gold worth of value. And you're going to be in lane for 2 minutes, and this is always going to be ticking, basically, so keep that in mind. So it's like you're walking into lane with 384 extra health, which is a massive, massive deal. So then over time, you know, before you get your first back, and the on-hit, the 125, you know, because that only works on minions and not champions, even if you cut that in half, even if you take that out of the equation, it's like, who cares? It's still going to be over 300% efficient, even if you don't even count the on-hit. Just having the 80 HP and the regeneration is massive, massive efficiency. You can also buy 2 extra, or you can buy 1 extra potion on the way to lane, which is another 150 health. So I don't think it stacks, but it's still really good. Now, if we compare that to Doran's Blade, you get 80 HP plus 8 AD, and you get 3% Lifesteal, which is about 200 or 2.25 HP per auto attack if you have 75 AD. So if you get 30 auto attacks in a minute, then that's 68 HP per minute. After 2 minutes, that would be 136 HP, which would be the equivalent of about 362 gold. So your total Doran's Blade is only 190% efficient. So, you know, this is so much more efficient than Doran's Blade early on. It's insane. Like, it's going to give you so much regen. So even, especially if you don't have a healer in your lane, like let's say if you have a Zyra in your lane, or you have a Leona or something like that, I think it might be a legit strat to start with Doran Shield on something like a Twitch or a Vayne. I mean, you might be able to still get Fervor on Twitch and start with Doran Shield and just be fine in the laning phase because of all that crazy regeneration. So, instead of having to go Warlords. So, I don't know. I don't know how much this is going to get used, but... And I don't know about top lane like matchups and things like that. I'm just thinking about like if 80 carries get it bottom lane instead of Doran's Blade. It could potentially be really good. Now, it's not going to be as good in all ends, but it's good for farming. So, I don't know. It may not see play, but I think that in tough matchups like Vayne versus Caitlyn in lane, then it could actually be a pretty good buy early on. And you're not sacrificing that much. You're still going to be able to last hit with the +5 on hit. Not as well as you can with AD, but it's okay. I think it's a pretty good laning tool. Especially if you don't have a heal. So I think for like Twitch or Vayne against tough lanes, this could be a pretty good matchup. So, I mean, once again, this might let Vayne be viable because she's going to be really good at breaking these massive tanks. The question is, can she get through the laning phase? And this might be the answer. Okay. Next changes. Blade of the Ruined King gets a cost increase. Death's Dance gets a little bit better. Bloodthirsty gets a little bit better. Hydra gets a little bit better. Okay, so Blade of the Ruined King, please do not buy this item anymore. Just don't. Just say no. It's the biggest solo queue trap in League of Legends history. I mean, my precipitous fall in ELO over the last 2 patches has not solely been because of Blade of the Ruined King, but it's pretty dang close. There's a very, very high correlation between me losing a lot of ELO and Blade of the Ruined King. And that's not the only reason, but it's big because everyone's playing Lucian and Ezreal, and they're all rushing Blade of the Ruined King, and it's just not good. I mean, that's not the only... This meta is just really wacky. This meta has been really wacky over the last 2 patches, and it's because people just aren't playing good champions. Like, they should be playing Draven, Caitlyn, Twitch, maybe even Kalista, Crit Zaya. But they're all building Blade of the Ruined King. So hopefully this will get people to stop. I know the Illuminati has started saying that people should start building Crit. Firewall said it. Hopefully other people will spread the word and just get off of the Lucian, Ashe, and Ezreal. Please, just get off of it. I talk about why. I'm not going to reiterate. I've talked about it numerous times, and people always ask me on stream, why do I hate Blade of the Ruined King so much? I talk about it in depth here at 54 minutes. If you're interested in my itemization video, it's about 10 minutes. I break it down for you. A lot of math, easy explanations. It's not a good item, except in pro level play and except on a very few specific champions. Okay, Death's Dance. Big buff. So it's got 30% bleed on it over 3 seconds. And it could be huge for someone like Renekton or Darius, maybe Fiora or Yi. But overall, I still think that it has a lot of problems. It doesn't have crit on it. It's very expensive. It doesn't have any other defensive stats on it. So, I mean, it's okay. It's okay. But I think there are probably better options out there. If it does get purchased, it maybe was like a 5th item or something against heavy burst. But because you can get GA and Gargoyle Plate, like, those just feel a lot better against burst type items. I mean, seriously, you might even be able to go like a Gargoyle Plate on like 80 carry or something as like your 6th item for team fights. Like, it's that good. But anyways, this is okay. I just think it's outclassed by the other defensive items right now. Bloodthirster, Ravenous Hydra, minor buffs don't matter. You know, you still should get probably Blade of the Ruined King as like maybe your 4th item after your GA if you want some lifesteal. Bloodthirster's okay on some champions. I mean, maybe if you already have Infinity Edge and Hurricane, maybe you should go Bloodthirster. I don't know. I'll have to run the math and talk about that in my meta-analysis video, but they're not early purchase items anymore, I don't think. I mean, maybe Hydra on some champions that want that lifesteal, you know, maybe on like Fiora or Riven. I don't think it's going to change the calculus, though. I don't think it's going to bump the needle on any of those items or on any of those champions. People are just going to build what they typically build, and you'll get a little bit of a boost from it. Critical strike items, they're still the best. They have been the best ever since. I mean, lethality items were better than crit. Crit was better back in December, but crit has always been better than Blade of the Ruined King and solo queue. Always. And people just haven't been building it. So hopefully this will get people to build crit items. I mean, this is definitely a nice little boost to them. Now, 300 gold is not all of a sudden going to make these items like astronomically better. It's good. You know, what is that? 4,900 gold is what it used to cost. You know, it's 6% cheaper. Which is good. I mean, it's good, but if people are just saying, oh, now I can build crit because, you know, it's so much cheaper, it's not really that much cheaper. It's because people are actually going to try it out, and instead of always building Blade of the Ruined King, they'll be like, oh my gosh, I actually do damage. This is excellent. You know, so hopefully this will get people to do things they should have been doing all along. Hurricane. This is a pretty huge buff for crit users, once again. So this is something that's very relevant for crit. So 25 total attack damage on the bolts, and the bolts can crit. So it doesn't give the on-hit anymore. So this is much worse with Blade of the Ruined King, because Blade of the Ruined King, first of all, doesn't give you as much attack damage as something like Infinity Edge. Infinity Edge has 80 on it. Blade of the Ruined King only has 40. But now it doesn't give, I think it used to give like 10 on hit, 10 or 15 on hit. I think it was 15. But you get plus 15% total AD. So as long as you have 100 AD somewhere in your kit, then it's equal or better. If you have more than 100, it's better. So this new stuff can crit as well. So Twitch. Play Twitch if you want to play, if you want to gain a lot of elo, because the Hurricane Bolts plus his ultimate, all of that can crit. You know, it just got 15% more AD on the Hurricane Bolts. Massive, massive damage. So, telling you right now, Hurricane, Infinity Edge, GA, Twitch, just domination. You're gonna win 80% of your game. Not that high, but you're gonna win a lot of games if you just play Twitch and go for that stuff. Or Draven. Both of those are insane. But Hurricane in particular, this change on Hurricane, in addition to the crit stuff, in addition to having a GA, is just going to be ridiculous on Twitch. Because you can be so much more aggressive. Because if you die, you're coming right back. So if you just pop up in the middle of a fight with Twitch and you kill 3 people and die, you're going to get resurrected as, you know, in a little bit. So it's fine. It's going to be really, really good. All right. So Shiv plus Rapid Fire. These are cute buffs, but I don't think it's going to matter. You get energized a little bit faster. Rapid Fire has almost always been just a trash item. Like, it's okay on Jhin, but on most other people, it's just really bad. Static Shiv has been out of the meta for a while. I mean, it can crit, which is nice. It does a lot less damage to minions, is what it looks like. It does more damage to champions. I still wouldn't get these items. There's just better options most of the time. I mean, I think that it's still Runan's just got a lot better for crit champions, so I would just still go, you know, Hurricane IE, GA on everything. And then near the end, you're going to need to start getting some Lifesteal, so probably with Bloodthirster after that, maybe. There's just not room in builds for this. You could maybe go Phantom Dancer if you feel like you don't really need the GA, and you're a duelist. I think Phantom Dancer might be your next. There are some champions for Phantom Dancer, like Vayne. Phantom Dancer, like Phantom Dancer, IE, GA, Vayne would be really good. Okay. So, and thank you all for the comments that leave these down here in the middle of the video. Okay, so armor penetration. This is bad. Now, Giant Slayer got at least a slight buff on the AP amp, but Mortal Reminder is going to be a lot worse. Everyone, like I said, everyone's going to be getting the Hurricane, IE, GA, and then they might get Lord Dominic's after that or this. But it's going to make it a lot harder to cut through tanks. It's going to make it a lot less likely that people are going to build the Mortal Reminder. Hello, Soraka. Because it's not going to be as good of an item. You know, this is going to be way better at cracking tanks. And Black Cleaver just got crushed. That's a lot less percentage armor. So I think a lot of people are not going to be building Cleaver as much. You might still see it on some champions, but I think the Lucian Essence the Lucian Bork Cleaver builds, the Ashe Bork Cleaver builds are going to get a lot worse here. We'll see. But yeah, I think these are okay. I mean, you're going to have to get it as like probably a 4th item. I mean, you might get it as a 3rd item rather than GA and get the GA 4th item. I don't know. It's going to be a lot harder to cut through tanks, and this makes champions like Vayne even more valuable because she's got that true damage that can help cut through them. So, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, you're still going to have to get it if you're going to have to get it. It's just going to be a lot worse. But there's a lot of great stuff. I mean, crit is a lot better, especially with Hurricane. So, we'll see. But you have to get it. Okay. It's just a question of when, 3rd or 4th. Okay, so Ancient Coin Line. These are the support items on here. So yeah, I think Twitch, Draven, Vayne, Callista will still have enough punch to crack through. Lucian, Easy, and Ashe will definitely not have enough damage to crack through tanks, especially with that armor-piercing nerf. So do not play these champions. Please, please don't play them. Twitch, Draven, Vayne, Callista, Xayah. Crit Xayah. They can crack through them. Okay. Alright, so supports. So you should upgrade your tier 2 now as fast as possible so that you can start getting more money towards that quest item. All the quests are good. I think Coin's going to be the best one by far. You don't have health regeneration on it anymore. So it's going to hurt tank supports because now tanks really can't get coin. It's going to be a lot harder. You can sell your tier 2 after Elixir, which is probably what I'm going to recommend most of the time. So if we look at, I don't know if I have it on there or not. I have the Oasis. Okay, here we go. Builds out a Nomad's Medallion. So you're going to want to upgrade to get the Nomads as fast as possible because it's going to give you 30 gold per coin instead of 20, which is a big deal. You do get a little bit of extra cooldown. It doesn't give you any extra base health regeneration, which is kind of... It does give you some when you have none now on your base. You still only get 210 per. So it's okay. You'll want to upgrade it just so you can get that Elixir of Skill. And if you're going to have to upgrade it for that anyways, then you want to do it as soon as possible so you can get these coins. I don't know how frequently these drops. I imagine they're going to be like, kind of like, sorry about that. I thought I'd turn that off. They're going to kind of be like Thresh Souls, so you want to be pushing in so that you can get as many of these as possible. And after you use the elixir, though, you can sell it and you still get to keep the skill point. Other items, you get like some extra benefit on the item, but if you sell it, you don't get the benefit. So like Targon's Brace with the shield that you get, and Frostfang with the tribute that turns into Queen's Tribute, you have to keep those items to get it. But you can sell the Nomad's Medallion. And Eye of the Oasis is just pure garbage, like it has been. But I mean, if you just look at this thing, yeah, it's a lot cheaper. You know, it only costs like 250 more to upgrade this. But all that you're getting, over Sightstone, you're getting like 50 health and like 75% health regen, and that's it. It's the same amount for the coins. You get the extra wards, I guess. It's the same amount of 2 gold per 10. So you're really getting it's the same amount of cooldown reduction. So you're getting almost nothing by upgrading that, except for the 4th ward, which is good. But I still think Ruby Sightstone is just so much better. You get health, you get the CDR reduction, and you get that 4th ward. Now it costs 800 gold, but if you look at the health difference here, that's 300 health that you're getting for getting Ruby Sightstone. That right there is 800. So you're just getting the cooldown, basically. You're getting the 4 wards just like you get with this one, but you're getting the extra 20% cooldown reduction on the house if you upgrade to Ruby Sightstone instead. And it's just much, much more slot efficient than Eye of the Oasis is. And yeah, I mean, that's just how I feel about that. You're not going to need the health regen and all that stuff nearly as much as you used to. Yeah, just don't upgrade this. There might be some circumstances where you want to upgrade a Talisman of Ascension. This is possible because, you know, sometimes you really need that hard engage with your bruisers if they have a lot of peel. Like if they have a Kog'Maw Lulu or something, maybe you need to get in there with this 40% movement speed bonus. But don't get Eye of the Oasis. This, maybe. If you need more engage, this is on the table. You're already going to be kind of invested in it. But it is still a lot of extra gold to finish that up. So, you know, make sure that it's going to be worth it before you finish this. Because you don't do it just because you want the extra gold or because you want the quest item, because you don't need that. Like, after you complete your quest, you can sell it. So, anyways, I think most of the time you'll just sell it. But, you know, Talisman could be okay in some circumstances. Now, it doesn't give you 200% bonus move speed around towers, which it said on the PBE, and I was talking about, and I was like, what? That was a typo. It only gives you 20%, so it's okay, but it's not as crazy as I thought it might be. I knew they would change it. That was ridiculous. So Janna, this is going to help the ladies who have been the strongest, Janna, Lulu, and Soraka, because they can all use coin very, very well. Tanks are going to have a hard time because it doesn't give you health back anymore. With it, AP supports are obviously going to have a bit of a hard time as well. So it's just going to be utility supports. Janna, Lulu, Karma, Sona, Nami, Soraka, all of these champions are going to be way better with this coin item. Now, Frostfang does give you extra AP, which is nice. Excuse me. Look down here. Frostfang does give you extra AP, but it gives you lower mana regen, which is kind of sketchy, but it does give you extra AP on all of these. So Rushing Eye of the Watchers will give you 35 more AP, so this can potentially be pretty good. And that does speed you up by 50% whenever you use one of those procs on a champion, so it does help you like kite and kind of run people down and get into position better. So I mean, it's okay. Like, I think Watchers and Frostfang is still viable, you know, on AP champions, but I don't think it's going to be as good as the coin line. I mean, we'll see, but So it's good for Zyra, it's good for some other champions, but I think in general, Coin is where you want to be. The tank one is still really bad. I have the Equinox. I don't even know if it's worth upgrading the tier 1 just to even get the extra, the shield battery. It depends on how big that shield battery is. I'm not sure. No data is released for that yet, so I don't know how big it is. But I just think there are probably going to be better options than that. Okay. And finally, Rift Herald. I'm going to talk about this in my meta-analysis video. I'm going to have to think more carefully about the champions and how they interact with each other. But it's definitely going to make top lane a higher gank priority. People will still come bot. Dragons are still good, but getting that Rift Herald, it basically guarantees you first tower blood if you ever get it. So, you know, as I've talked about before, when I've talked about the Rift Herald changes, you know, one of the reasons everyone goes bottom is because if you kill bottom towers have less armor. You'll already have 3 people down there if you run them off, and 3 people can just dogpile the tower and kill it. So that's why, and they can get a dragon off of it. So bottom lane has all of the good rewards, and that's why junglers who stick to the top lane lose a lot of games in the entire Season 7. But now that Rift Herald's going to be relevant, there could be a scenario where top lane ganks, kills, comes down, picks up the Rift Herald. This also doesn't come up until 10 minutes, so that's important to keep in mind, the Rift Herald. But now you can actually go and fight for the Rift Herald buff because it's basically guaranteed you're going to get a tower. Now, if you're on a team that's pushing really fast, this could be super strong. Maybe not to rush, but later. Like, let's say that you're down here, you get a gank, take this tower, walk over here, take the tier 1 tower, win another team fight, come up, take the tier 2 tower, and then at like 15 minutes in the game, you go grab the Rift Herald, and then you can use the Rift Herald to take the tier 3 tower. That will be really powerful. But yeah, she almost guarantees wherever you set her up, she's going to get 1 tower. She might even get 2. So I think she's definitely worth contesting now. But she doesn't show up until 10 minutes. So there might still be a lot of action on the bottom side until then. But we'll see. We'll see. It'll definitely shake up the meta. I'm excited about it. I'm not sure she's overpowered yet or not. We'll have to see tonight. But I think it'll definitely be good. Magic resist, everyone gets a free like extra magic resist, which doesn't seem bad, but you know, at level 10 people will get 5 extra magic resist, which means basically it takes 5% more magic damage to kill them. So this is going to hurt magic damage champions all around. The new GA introduction is going to hurt magic champions. Gargoyle Plate's going to hurt them because a lot of magic champions are burst damage champions, except for some specific cases like Rise, Cassiopeia, and a few others, but most of them are burst, and burst is going to have a really hard time on this patch. So magic damage champions already having a hard time. I don't know why they're hurting them even more, but they are. Renekton, on a final note, Renekton has some bug fixes. I'm not sure. I don't play Renekton a lot. I'm not sure how much this matters. It sounds good. I know that playing Renekton at a super optimal level involves like animation canceling with his W and some other stuff like that, and I'm not sure if that's gonna influence how that works. I don't know. It sounds good, but if this stops some of his animation cancels and things like that, then that could be bad. But overall, I don't think it's gonna be a big deal, but it might be. I don't know. You'd have to watch someone like Solo Renekton mid. He could probably tell you that more than I can. This helps you with teleports. If you're kind of at lower EOs and people don't know how to click on teleport spots, this will help you out with that. And yeah, that's going to be it. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and here's the main channel. If you want to check it out, I do stream every night just about starting at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Sometimes I don't on Saturday and Sunday if I'm traveling, but in general, I stream almost every night, 8:30 to 9, depending on when I get started. And then I have tips and tricks guide. So if you want to know how to carry a support, an overview, I just came up with that one. So if you're kind of newer to the game or you just want to know like why is support good, how can you climb with that, why should you play support over something else like jungle or top lane, I go into that. Talk about champion select, so I talk about when you should ban, like different theories behind champions you should pick, ban, and most importantly dodge. So when you should dodge statistically, if you have less than a 45% or a 40% chance to win a game and it's 3 elo, you should probably dodge. I talk about why and a lot of other stuff in that video. Have an itemization guide. Now that's going to change because there's a new one. I might do a new itemization guide here soon, at least about the new items. But how to dominate the vision game, and I have a coaching series going on as well. So if you want to see me coach some other people, or if you'd like to be coached, it's a $20 donation. And I can usually get to that within a few days, depending on how many other people have asked to be coached. So that can be a really useful experience. But even if you don't have $20, then you could still go in and watch me coach some other people. And then finally, we have in-depth support guides. So if you want to see, you know, Soraka, Karma, Rakan, Bard, Tahm Kench, all of these champions, I have some great guides. Now, some of the itemization is going to change a little bit based on the new patch. So, for example, you know, on someone like Tahm Kench, I might recommend going something like a Gargoyle Plate as like a third item. But in general, like gameplay, how to play the champion, how their skills work, all that kind of stuff is still going to be super helpful. So the Zyra and Lulu have been very popular. Those have been out the longest. But a lot of people are definitely finding some interest in Janna, Tahm Kench, and some of the other ones. Rakan, it looks like. And then finally, we have, well, I said finally before, but this is the finally. We have playlists. So if you just want to watch me play a lot of Janna, you can click on that. It starts with the newest game, works its way back to the oldest. And then I'm constantly adding in some new footage as well, if you're interested. Stay tuned, and I'll add some more there. So that's going to be it. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.